From a kidnapped banana to a giant statue trying to kill all humans, Fortnite Chapter 5 has gotten pretty insane. Today we have gathered to completely explain what has happened so far. So grab the popcorn or whatever, play it in the background. Let's start with Season 1. Peely is missing. And there are some significantly more important people that are also here, like Midas. So today we're going to be discovering who exactly stole Peely and why. Let's start off with the event. How do we even know that Peely's gone? Well, during the event, the first thing that we see whenever we come into this space is actually a bounty board. And it says Peely is missing. This was just a small little detail. You'd have to be really paying attention in order to catch this, but luckily they show us again at the very end. Hovering around the Chapter 5 galaxy, we can see the same poster saying that Peely is missing. But if you want more context, you're gonna have to go into the actual trailer. Within the Chapter 5 Season 1 trailer, we can see Jones go down to the basement called the Underground. His little office has just been overrun by the enemy, and they actually left a message for him. We have your banana. Now, this is a very daunting and mysterious story so far, but it's about to get way cooler. In the trailer, there are files all over the floor. They've been scattered around as if somebody were fighting here. And we can assume what went down was Peely had a little bit of a scramble with these people that took him. But there's something special about these files. There are two specific files on the floor that have Midas's face on it. The first time we've seen these files was back in Chapter 2, Season 2. And yes, they've finally returned. But what does this mean? Is Midas finally relevant again? Well, yes. Jones and Peely have been looking into Midas, clearly with these files, and on the map we can see some things that kinda hint towards Midas, like the yacht. There was a loading screen that showed who took Peely. In this loading screen we can see Jones on the phone with somebody. Who's he on the phone with? He's on the phone with this new guy whose name is Oscar. He's got some very nice clothes on. He's wearing some sort of suit and tie. He's pointing at something. Peely. It's safe to assume that this is somebody that works for the society, and they are blackmailing Jones. After the Big Bang ended, we can load straight up into Chapter 5, and we are brought up with two new teams. One team being the Society, and one team being the Underground. These two are enemies. Obviously, the Society is the big one, the big bad guy, the one that's above the ground. Everybody is with the Society. The Society seems like the good guy to the regular people, but really underneath, they are terrible. And we'll point out some things that they've done underneath the surface in just a moment. But now, we need to talk about why. Why do they need Peely? And how come that they actually stole him? There's two significant theories with this. The first one is that back in Chapter 1, Season 9, there was a character called Bunker Jonesy. Peely and Jones ran into the bunker to avoid an erupting volcano. Little did they know that they would have to stay in here for a long time. And they realized they had no food. So what is Jones's only hope? Well, he has to eat Peely. So he turns him into a smoothie and starts slurping on him, and we discover that this gives him the ability to see the future with visions. Now, this could be a coincidence from just going crazy in the bunker, or it could be Peely giving him these powers. Now, I don't think that this is the case, because why would they steal Peely and then show Jones that they have him? They would steal Peely and then just eat him. They wouldn't do all this extra stuff. They wouldn't be like, Jones, if you do this, we'll give him back. No, they don't need to do that if they want Peely. So they want something from Jones. But what? We will get back to that in just a minute. Because before we understand why they need Peely, we need to understand who took him first. That might clear some things up.
If you look at the battle pass in Fortnite, you can actually see a story being told. Page 1, you can see the Hope loading screen and the Hope skin. But the real story starts on the second page. And what is Oscar's part in this story? Oscar is a hunter. because this loading screen says, if you think you can evade a hunter like me, you're more foolish than I thought. Why does the fact that Oscar is a hunter matter? Well, that's because in the next loading screen we can see he has actually kidnapped Peely. He's a hunter, so this probably wasn't his choice. He was probably hired. Well, who could have hired Oscar to take him? Well, we'll get into that in a second, because first we have to talk about Jones. This story so far has been that Oscar has taken Peely, and Jones found out about it, which is the next screen, where Jones is getting ready to break the rules, apparently, and get in on Peely. And in this big loading screen for Jones, it says, this time it's not about saving the world, it's about saving a friend. And it goes through this giant comic sequence where he breaks into a building and revealing the final character, Valeria. She is the big boss for the society. There's nothing too important about that until we go to the next page where we can see Nisha standing with Peely. Why is this important? And who actually took Peely? Because we've seen him with Oscar and now Nisha. But since Oscar is a hunter, it leads me to believe that Oscar has stolen Peely and delivered him to Nisha. But the real question is, why does Nisha need Peely?
And the answer was right in front of us the whole time.
We can also see Valeria in a loading screen that shows that she loves to have knowledge, because she claims that knowledge is power. But what can we see in the background? Well, quite literally the answer to all of our questions. Jones is standing in front of the 0 point. Now, why does it matter that Jones is standing in front of the 0 point? Because we've been wondering why they've stolen Peely this whole time. Because he seems to have stolen Peely and then called Jones to tell him he's stolen him. Jones obviously got mad and went on a hunt for him, and then successfully got to the main antagonist of the society, but it turns out they didn't seem to have it. Valeria probably didn't end up having it, which leads us to assume that this is an inside job from a few people in the society that want Peely for some other reason. Because as all of us did, Jones assumed that the society themselves stole Peely for a reason. But no, it looks like the society didn't steal Peely, but instead, someone else inside the society stole Peely. With Jones standing in front of the 0 point, what would be the best move in order to know about the 0 point? Stealing his best friend for ransom for knowledge. Because if they could steal Peely, maybe Jones will offer a trade for the 0 point.
So since Valeria is so hungry for more knowledge, she stole Peely in order to get information out of Jones. But there are still so many unsolved mysteries for this chapter 5 storyline, one of them being Midas. And later in the video, we see something as small as a banana being stolen, taken to a giant sandstorm coming to the island.
Midas has so many teasers on the island right now. There's a picture of the agency, there's the chapter 2 season 2 doors, there's a file with Midas's face on it in the trailer, and there's even the exact same yacht that he used to own, and it's still called Marigold. The only difference is that all of the logos that used to be Midas are now the society. But there is one hint that Midas still could be around, and that's on the top of the ship when you go to this computer. There are 2 names. One name has 5 letters and one name has 8. My original thought would be that this was Midas and Marigold.
And later we find out that this was spot on. But before we can get to that, we need to finish the story for season 1 and officially solve the mystery of what happened to Peely and why.
Peely was kidnapped solely for the reason that Jones had knowledge that Valeria wanted. Jones managed to get Peely back without actually having to give up some of his knowledge. But in Jones's dialogue, it says, "It's all been building up to this, time to confront the society. Hope was right,
The whole island needs help. With my best bud rescued, I'll be ready for anything. They took Peely because of my history. They thought they could use me. This proves multiple things. One of them is that Jones still remembers the past, which is a big deal. Another one is that Valeria was in the search for the Pandora's box. At first, we didn't know for sure if this was the Pandora's box or not, but now we can confirm because of massive things that are coming to the game. Pandora's box is a Greek mythology story. And the Wikipedia says, when Prometheus stole fire from heaven, Zeus, the king of the gods, took vengeance by presenting Pandora to Prometheus' brother Epimetheus. Pandora opened a jar left in her care, containing sickness, death, and many other unspecified evils, which were released into the world. So basically, Pandora's box holds the evil of the world, and Valeria is looking for it. So how did Jones even save Peely? Well, it looks like just from this loading screen where he confronted Valeria at the end, he ended up destroying the society. As you can see in the background of this new loading screen, the society's buildings are burning. They're in flames. And Jones is running away with Peely. Even on the little crates on the right side, you can see bullet holes. This was not an easy fight. I'm surprised we only saw it through a loading screen, but there's a reason that there were no details. Because Peely being taken was kind of a side character story, a distraction for Valeria. Peely got kidnapped so that way Valeria could work behind the scenes on a lot of other things. Because recently, we've been seeing her move place to place on the island. She was in a specific spot, researching with a telescope and her book, and then she has now moved, but where she was originally now has some sort of dog head. This dog head is very important to the storyline coming up, because there was a leaked teaser for next season, and it includes Cerberus, the three-headed dog, a very Greek mythology thing, and this whole loading screen is the teaser for the next season. We can see Greek mythology-styled buildings all around, like pillars and stuff, and then at the bottom we can see skulls and flames. And there is one tiny burning flame at the bottom middle, and this represents Valeria. But let's take a step back for a moment, and we're gonna explain why. Valeria has been looking for something. We don't know what she's looking for until now, because this hand just came out of the ground holding Pandora's box. We don't know why or where this came from until now. Valeria has been in search for Pandora's box. She doesn't know where it is, but that's why she's looking for it. That's why she kidnapped Peely, because she wanted to know if she could pry anything out of Jones about Pandora's box. And we can assume that Valeria somehow is finding Pandora's box right now. She has just left Cerberus's head on her last site. And we can assume she will do the same for the next two heads, revealing Cerberus in the end for Season 2. The reason that this flame represents Valeria is because she is going to find Pandora's box. And according to Greek mythology, Pandora's box holds the evils of the world. And when she wants more knowledge, she's going to open this box, revealing Cerberus and many other monsters. Obviously, there's something underneath the ground that's more than the hand. But before I reveal who's underneath the island and who this hand belongs to, we need to look at something else first. A strange character named Odyssey shows up on the Fortnite island at Ruined Reels. This character foreshadows the entire season. She seems to be brand new, but she was teased all the way back on the first day of Chapter 5. Something to know is that everything here is happening around Ruined Reels. A poster was spotted at this location that at first looked like a simple movie poster, but really it was a teaser for the whole next part of the storyline. This poster was called Odyssey 6, and in the background we see something that looks like Mount Olympus. This name Odyssey was very important and we just didn't notice. In a second, I'll explain more on that, but first let me explain Valeria's part in this story. Valeria showed up on day 1 of this chapter. She immediately struck us as a villain that was power hungry. She not only wanted power, but she wanted knowledge. She kidnapped Peely himself just because she wanted to know something. And her significance on this island is more than we thought. We thought that she was just a cool new character, but really she was after something specific. Pandora's box, a box straight out of Greek mythology. This box is said to hold the darkness and evils of the world, and when opened, it would all escape. But before I continue that story, let's jump back to this Odyssey girl. Odyssey shows up on our island and starts talking about some sort of mosaic. This mosaic is revealed as the season goes on. She mentions something dark on our island, something hidden that she is currently working to decode. But by the time she does it, she fears it'll be too late. Now back to Valeria. Valeria is in search of something big. We see her set up research sites all around the map. And on all of these research sites, we see the same image, Pandora's box. One day, Valeria moves to a new spot, but she leaves behind something interesting, a face of a dog. This dog will be proven to be more important as the season moves on. So in the meantime, let's see what she's looking at. She's looking at some sort of earthquake. I wonder what will come out of this. A giant hand comes out of the ground. This hand is big, but the more important part is what the hand is holding. Pandora's box. Valeria has somehow found a way to lure it out of its place, and in doing so, opens up a lot of questions. Why was this hand under the island? Why is there so much lava? What is inside this box? Is Midas coming back or not? All of these mysteries will be revealed very soon. Odyssey's mosaic is slowly revealed, leading to this mysterious image. A three-headed dog, Cerberus. This brings us back to Pandora's box. If all of the evils in the world rest inside this box, Cerberus is also inside this, and looking closely at the box might reveal what else lays inside. We will get back to that in a minute though. Paying attention to Odyssey's mosaic reveals many Greek-style buildings. Buildings that we've seen before on the Odyssey 6 poster. This poster teased it all, but nobody even noticed. Something else that was teased was the return of Midas, many times. The last time we saw Midas for real was actually when he was using the spirit world in season 4, which in a moment you will realize is very important. So maybe this also has to do with Midas. But let's get back to Pandora's box. If you look closely at Pandora's box, we can see many characters. Characters that seem to be Zeus, Ares, Cerberus, and Hades. All of these characters are from Greek mythology. Cerberus being teased yet again, the original thing that brought Odyssey here in the first place. Pandora's box opens and we see this giant beam of orange light shoot out of it. This looks like some sort of tornado until you get closer and you realize that these are the souls of the dead. Who knew that Fortnite was going to take the dark route with this one? This hints at the fact that the box is easily connected to the underworld. And now it will begin setting free all of the evil things. Season 1's storyline was great. It was a good introduction to Chapter 5. But Season 2 by far has the most storylines so far. So now that Season 1 is done, let's get into Season 2's storyline. Zeus is trying to destroy all of humanity.
Zeus's wrath is upon you.
Leaving us to wonder why. And a bunch of mysteries that have just been brought up are about to be solved. A brand new secret about Odyssey, and the return of Midas's whole group. Valeria was the one wanting this box, and she's the one that summoned it. When this box was opened, it revealed the spirits of the dead. She caused all of this ruckus, and then now Hope is saying that she just disappeared. She made a dramatic exit. But with Pandora's box being opened, this leads the Greek gods to come to our island to try to stop us. But not only does Zeus want to stop Pandora's box, he actually wants to end all of mankind.
So Zeus wants to end the mortal kind.
Whoa, calm down, Jamal.
There are challenges coming up that have voice lines from someone named the Oracle. The Oracle gives us a prophecy of
Darkened skies, choking dust,
and Zeus's wrath, and she tries to help us prevent this. Zeus is mad at us for opening Pandora's box, and he wants to punish us. And Zeus has actually started getting rid of mortals, starting with the society. I mean, it works in our favor, but he just straight up went in and destroyed all of the society. While on the other hand, there is some mysterious stuff going on with Midas. Marigold just showed up on the island, and she is seen gathering up Midas's old group, such as Brutus, Sky, Tiantina, Meowscles, and Jules. She tells them all that I think I've found him, he's close. And she tells Jules, your father is on this island, I just know it. Marigold has been searching for Midas, and finally she has been led back to our island. But it's not for the reason you would think. Midas hasn't been here all along. No, in fact, Midas was in the underworld this whole time. And if you need proof, here we go. Midas's dialogue line says, you've heard it right, I'm back. It's very nice to see you again. You have my attention, don't waste it. This island was always too small for my ambitions. I don't fear the gods, no power is absolute. Hades thought he could keep me trapped, he would have been the first. This means that Midas was in the underworld this whole time. Maybe after messing with the spirit realm in chapter 2, season 4, Hades said, nah, no more of that, and he trapped him down there. A funny Easter egg that you can notice on the island is actually in the underworld location. There is a golden reboot card on the floor in a prison cell. This indicates that maybe Midas died in the underworld and we actually have to go back and save him. This theory that I had was actually proven wrong. Instead, this golden reboot card was the reboot card of a guard that was guarding his prison cell. He killed him and froze his reboot card. I'll explain more about that later. Marigold has gathered up Midas's old team and they have formed the Shadow group again. In the yacht, you can actually see the Shadow logo, and that's a new thing that we need to talk about. During this season, we will use Midas's old group to make a distraction for Marigold, because Marigold wants to take back her yacht. This challenge tab is called the Great Marigold Yacht Heist. Tiantina says we need to give the boss cover to get away with the Marigold, and I mean loud cover, and the challenge is blow up a fuel pump. Meowscles' description is, distraction, huh? How about, let's chase that bird? And the challenge is catch a golden chicken. Marigold says, I told you one day I'd need a skilled driver. Let's have some fun. Sky's description says, we need a distraction. Someone flying with big cool wings is a great distraction. Brutus says, what better way to distract from one heist than by pulling off another in broad daylight? They're distracting so Marigold can get in on the yacht and steal it. And in the yacht, during this season, we will be able to see the Shadow logo. This means that after 4 years, Midas is finally back with his group. There's one more really confusing important thing. Odyssey looks very similar to the Ageless. From the very start, we were a little suspicious already, but now during this new update, when we officially get the Odyssey skin, we can tell they are definitely related. At least somehow, because the Ageless is Geno, a version of Geno that was younger that made a snapshot of himself. But when you look at her description, it says an ageless adventurer, and this is very significant. Not only do their clothes look the exact same, not only are they both called ageless, but on her new style, she has the exact same helmet as the Ageless, but gold. So far, they are only related because of the way they look and are spoken about, but maybe they will have some more connections later in the line. Regardless, this should mean that Geno is going to return eventually. And there's another important thing to mention about Midas. Do you remember in chapter 4, season 4, when Cato Thorn came to the island? He had a lot of relics and special things in his lair, and he somehow managed to collect Midas's arm. Well, if you look at the new Midas skin, we actually can see that he has a prosthetic arm. This confirms that Cato went all the way down to the underworld just to steal his stinking arm. And that's not even it. There is so much Midas lore this season. Because the floor's lava is returning with Midas. The whole entire island is going to be covered in lava, but not only lava, it is golden lava. But I'm confused how Midas got his hands on the lava. Fortnite have supposedly added a backstory to Midas. They are using something called the storyteller to explain Midas's story. It starts off with saying, once upon a time there was a powerful king doomed by his greed. He received a gift, all that he touched would turn to gold. A gift or a curse. Once upon a time a golden king could not eat or drink, for all that he had touched turned to gold. He never ate nor drank, but some say he still wanders. Once upon a time a golden king transformed his young daughter into gold. At great cost he returned her to life, but her trust was forever broken. Once upon a time a golden king turned his rose garden to gold. The blooms were beautiful but cold. The king looked upon them and felt nothing. I don't know where exactly they found this, but supposedly these are leaked voice lines in the files. And if that's the case, this is insane. The reason Jules isn't the biggest fan of Midas recently is because he turned her to gold. Maybe the reason he was even in the underworld was because he had to return the favor and maybe go to the underworld in order to save her life. This is obviously the classic Greek mythology Midas story, but this is the first time we've ever heard it told in Fortnite. For the longest time, Midas has kind of had a 50-50 kind of thing, because we've seen him use the golden touch willingly, and then we've also seen him hold things that don't get turned to gold. But I think this is Charlie Wynn setting it in stone that Midas struggles with this, and that he can't control the golden touch. But what do you guys think about this new season's storyline? I'm glad we finally get some backstory on Midas. We have just found hidden cameras in Midas's yacht. Someone is spying on us, and we believe that it is our friend Brutus. New challenges in the game are called Et tu Brute. This is a classic line from a Shakespeare play. This saying literally translates to, "You too, Brutus?" And this was said by someone that was actively being betrayed by someone named Brutus while being murdered. This was a hint for the possible betrayal of Brutus, but when we confront Brutus, he says,
"The cameras found in the yacht were hopes from when the society had the yacht."
Brutus is safe for now, but someone that isn't safe is Midas, because his plan to escape the island might not work the way he thinks it will. But before we can talk about that, we need to see Midas has just randomly appeared on our island, but there is a hidden backstory to why he is here and how he got here. If we go to the underworld in the past update, we can see a locked prison cell, and the door is in the shape of a letter M. Later, we find out that this was Midas's prison cell. Midas was locked in the underworld for some reason. He didn't die to get there though, as we noticed, since he still has his physical body. To get to the underworld without dying, he had to have physically walked into the underworld. I'll explain the reason he was in the underworld at the end of this video. Hades found him and kept him in prison, but he ended up escaping the prison cell. Midas managed to get a prison guard to open one of the handcuffs, giving him enough time to turn the guard into gold and then escape, breaking down the door, leaving a golden reboot card in his place. That's how Midas got here, but Midas has some help waiting outside of the prison cell. Midas has escaped from the underworld, and Marigold has been gathering up the old group that Midas used to have. Marigold's plan is to use the Marigold boat to escape the island, or so we think. Logically, this plan makes zero sense, because in the past, people have tried to use the water to leave the island, but failed because they realized that they would just fall off to space and die. Sadly, they realized it too late, but this is something that Midas should already be aware of. If the edge of the world will kill you, why does Marigold and Midas want to go there? There must be a bigger plan here. Maybe the floor's lava is a part of it. Maybe Midas is going to use the lava, and since it's gold, he can manipulate it. Maybe he will use it to take the Marigold boat up on the lava. I genuinely have no idea what Midas's plan is, so if you have any idea, leave a comment, and while you're down there, subscribe. The only thing I can think of is maybe during the Big Bang the loop got destroyed, and now we just don't have a loop anymore. Maybe there are actually other islands in this world, and they are wanting to drive the boat to a different island. Don't forget that I have a huge idea about why Midas was in the underworld, but we'll explain it right after this. We really don't know anything about Chapter 5. We don't know where the island is located. We don't know if there's a 0 point. We don't know if there's a flip side. We don't know if the IO exists. We hardly know anything. And in Chapter 2, Season 2, when Midas first came, he revealed for the first time the IO. And there are a few hints on the Chapter 5 island that the IO still exist. One of these hints is that Dr. Sloan is seen on one of the monitors. This isn't just regular Dr. Sloan though, this is an older version of Dr. Sloan. In fact, the IO version of her. And Fortnite Chapter 5 has many similarities to Chapter 2. First off, it both happened right after the end of Chapter 1. We got used to the new map in Season 1, and then in Season 2, we actually see Midas return. In Chapter 2, Midas came and then showed us who the IO was. What if in Chapter 5, Season 2, he also shows us the IO again? In fact, if they are actually here. There's another huge theory. What if Midas takes his boat to the edge of the map and takes us to Season OG again? But this time, instead of OG Chapter 1, it's Chapter 2 OG. And he takes us back to the season he first showed up in. This could be a huge event, and would actually be incredible. We all know that Midas was trapped in the underworld by Hades, and by putting pieces together we can assume that he went down to the underworld willingly, because if you die and go to the underworld, your body will be left where it died. But if you walk down to the underworld, you will still have your body, and Midas still has his body in the underworld with him. Why did Hades trap him, and why did Midas go into the underworld willingly? Well, I have a huge theory towards this idea. In the actual Midas Greek mythology, he has a daughter named Marigold. In this case, it's not the same Marigold we know, but more like jewels. One day, Midas accidentally touches his daughter and she turns into gold, and Midas has to pay a huge price in order to get her back. That's the Greek mythology version. Now, if we go to the Fortnite version, we can assume it is something similar. What if Midas accidentally turned jewels into gold, and in order to get her back, he had to go into the underworld and trade his life for jewels? That would explain why Hades wants him in prison so bad, and that would explain why he was down there in the first place. If I'm successfully helping you understand the storyline, and if you're enjoying, make sure to subscribe and use code PBJ in the item shop. But this is just the beginning. The Marigold yacht has just set sail towards the ocean, with Midas's crew on it. And this update actually teases the fact that the Chapter 6 island might be closer than we think, which we'll get into in a moment. We do not know what Midas's plan is yet, besides finding somewhere bigger than our current island. Because Midas says this island is too small for his ambitions, but this is where the real questions come into play. Usually the water isn't actual water, and it is just an illusion the 0 Point plays. But if they're using the boat to escape the island, maybe the water is real this time. And maybe they are actually going to a new island. This leads us to wonder, is the 0 Point even here? Or is it even anywhere? After the Big Bang, we haven't even seen the 0 Point at all, and we don't even know if it exists anymore. If it does exist, maybe that's where Midas is going, and if it doesn't exist, maybe that's why there's no border, and that's why the water is real. But Midas is the least of our worries right now, because the focus of Fortnite Season 2 is that Zeus wants all mortals dead, but we are fighting back. We are trying to prove our innocence to Zeus, and we have some people on our side. Hope is on our side, Aphrodite is on our side, Poseidon is on our side, and the reason these people are on our side is because of Peely. And oh boy, is Peely more important than we thought. The Oracle says that Peely is the thing holding the Omniverse together.
You should be glad Peely got this and not its intended recipient. You should know that Banana seems to be a linchpin holding together all of reality. Do with that information what you may.
This sounds crazy, like out of all people or things, Peely, but when we take a deeper look, it makes more sense. The Omniverse would have collapsed by now if Peely wasn't here. Firstly, because of Season 9, Chapter 1, when the monster came to the island and Jonesy predicted the future, protecting everybody on the island. Supposedly, Peely gave him the ability to predict this. And in Chapter 3, when Peely saved the 7 mech from dying, if he didn't do these things, the 0 Point would have been in the wrong hands or even destroyed. And this continues to this day. Peely got kidnapped, which allowed Jones to work with Hope, which allowed Hope to tell the gods who we are. giving us protection from Zeus. And if the storyline continues how it's been going, he will save us again in the near future. So, Peely saved us again. Zeus has decided to push back our demise for now, thanks to the gods that are on his side. This next part is very interesting though, and sort of provides a backstory to what happened in Season OG's ending. Before I explain that, if you're enjoying, make sure to subscribe and use code PBJ. And don't forget that there's a huge secret at the end of this video. A new character named Nu Ra showed up on the island. Her description says, mysterious storyteller Nu Ra collects myths and ancient tales as if they were priceless antiques. She is curious about the gods, but even more curious about the nature of Pandora's box. But this isn't the important part. The important part is her dialogue. Her dialogue tells a few stories. If we ask about the hawk and the mouse, she says, one day a mouse was being hunted by a hawk. As it swooped down, claws outstretched, the clever mouse darted towards the lake's edge. The hawk, seeing its reflection, turned away. It did not want to compete for its food, and the clever mouse returned home safe and sound. This is itching to be explained. Obviously, this is some sort of metaphor. The hawk being the hunter, and the mouse being the hunted. And if you think to the story right now, who is a character being hunted, and who is a character hunting? You could say Zeus, but no. What I'm thinking is Hades and Midas. Midas was trapped in the underworld and he escaped, so Hades is coming after him. And guess where Midas went? He went straight to the water side where Hades can come, I guess see his reflection, and go away. And at the end of the story, where does it say the mouse went? Back home. What if Midas goes back home to Chapter 2, Season 2, where he originally came from? This is personally what I think happened. This is why Midas fled. This is what the story is talking about. If we ask about the endless stars, she says, eons ago and very far away, the stars blinked out, one by one, until there were only a few left. Then, a brilliant owl helped a clever fox chew a hole through the world, and that tear ripped open all of space, filling the vast emptiness with an eternity of new stars. This one is very interesting to me. It immediately makes me think of the Big Bang from Chapter OG, but the stars blinking out makes me think of the last reality, because the last reality was destroying realities one by one until there was only one left. But when it mentions a brilliant owl and a clever fox, it makes me wonder who they are talking about. That tear ripped open all of space, filling the vast emptiness with an eternity of new stars. This makes me think of the Big Bang. The first thing we see is hundreds of new galaxies, which from a distance seem like stars. Maybe the owl and fox are Dr. Sloan and Jones. They both work together to go back in time to Season OG, and the ripping open of all space sounds like the Big Bang's boom. So what do you guys think about this story? There is one more story she tells. The story of the moon and sun. And this story teases the fact that there might be a flip side to the Chapter 5 island. The moon and sun are playmates, taking chase after one another. It is said that if one ever slows, so does the other. Neither wants their game to end, ever. Something that might be more important is the fact that our island's code name is Helios, which means sun. And this plays a huge part in the Chapter 5 storyline, but we'll have to talk about that in a second. In Fortnite right now, if you go to the very bottom of the map, you can see these two frogs who were currently getting married, pausing their marriage to look through a telescope south. They're looking over the horizon at the edge of the map, but what are they looking at? There are 15 other telescopes pointing in the same area, definitely hinting towards something coming to the island. And in today's video, we are going to explore what is coming to the island. And that's just one of the many parts of the new storyline.
The Wanderer draws near.
The Oracle mentioned dark skies, and we believed it was all from Zeus.
Storm clouds gather.
But in this new update, the Oracle reveals that we will end up defeating Zeus, and then the dark skies come. And there is a bigger reason for this, and it is far more worrying than Zeus.
Don't forget that prophecy, hero. Zeus was just the beginning. The skies will blacken, Be ready, hero.
Obviously, in Season 1, Pandora's box came and opened, and when it opened, it revealed the gods. But in Greek mythology, Pandora's box is opened not once, but twice, and the second opening reveals hope for the evil unleashed the first time. The oracle mentions hope will guide you, and this could be meaning the character Hope, but it also could mean mentioning the hope from the second opening of Pandora's box. And maybe the dark skies will be coming from the second opening of the box. But there is something coming.
Something dark, something that might be the end of our island as we know it.
So far, this whole chapter, Chapter 2, has been replicated. In Season 1, there was a new island with Alter Ego and Society versus Underground. And in Season 2, Midas's return. In Season 3, The Flood, one with water and one with sand. And Season 4, a Marvel season, as shown in the roadmap. But this Marvel season is very important, because finally,
The Wanderer.
a new dialogue for Anwar mentions, eons ago and very far away, a hungry beast consumed star after star to warm its belly. Each light fizzled all too soon, and the beast grew restless for a light that could warm it forever. They say the beast still roams the dark, hunting for some eternal warmth it cannot snuff out. This reminds me of Galactus searching for the 0 point, the character that attempted to destroy our island, and guess what season? Chapter 2, Season 4. Does this hint at the return of Galactus? It would seem like it until we hear the Oracle say this.
But your war has not yet begun. Storm clouds gather. The Wanderer draws near. Even in the darkness, hope will guide you. I have seen the truth.
The Wanderer.
A character we have not seen or heard of before. This name fits the description mentioned that we thought might be Galactus. Maybe Season 3 will be about the Wanderer getting closer and closer until Season 4 when Marvel comes to save us from him. We have heard Anwar's description before somewhere else with Nura. Eons ago, very far away, the stars blinked out one by one until there were only a few left. This doesn't only sound like Galactus or the Wanderer, it reminds me of the Nothing as well. Do with that what you will, and comment your theories down below, but there is something more that no one is paying attention to. In the previous update, we had a character's dialogue named Nura. She told stories identical to the stories Anwar is telling, but from a different angle. Nura says when we ask about the hawk and the mouse, one day a mouse was being hunted by a hawk. As it swooped down, claws outstretched, the clever mouse darted towards the lake's edge. The hawk, seeing its reflection, turned away. It did not want to compete for its food, and the clever mouse returned home safe and sound. This is an interesting story. We can confirm it stands for something we haven't seen yet, or that is playing out right now. Because Anwar says, one day a hawk hunted a tiny mouse. As it swooped down, claws outstretched, it saw its own reflection in the lake. In that moment, the hawk understood for the first time the fear of the prey. The hawk flew off, still hungry, and forever haunted the cost of the hunt. The hawk in this version of the story seems like it wasn't scared, but more of he felt bad and returned home. This side of the story gives another form of context, but I do not know what this is metaphorically standing for. In another story, Anwar and Nura contradict each other. When we ask about the moon and sun, Nura says the moon and sun are playmates, taking chase after one another. It is said that if one ever slows, so does the other. Neither wants their game to end, ever, but when we ask Anwar, he says the moon and the sun are siblings, searching endlessly for one another in the desert. If they found one another, they would stop and embrace, and reuniting, they would bring an end to day and night forever. The contradiction is that Nura says neither wants their game to end, ever, but Anwar says that they would bring an end to day and night if they found each other. There is a deeper meaning to this dialogue though. It has to do with the flip side. And there is a crazy secret for the end of the video regarding the Wanderer. Chapter 5 island's name is Helios, which means sun, and that might be related to this story. Maybe this story is talking about the Chapter 5 island searching for the island named Moon? In Greek mythology, there is a name called Selene, which means moon. And Helios and Selene are related, but both are also related to the flip side of Chapter 2, Apollo and Artemis. Maybe the Chapter 5 island Helios can never see the moon Selene because Selene is on the other side of the island where they turn forever with their backs to each other and never face each other. This is what makes sense to me. It is very theorized, but it seems to work well. Fortnite just released a brand new loading screen that shows Hope and Jones looking at Pandora's box. We haven't seen Jones since Season 1, and Hope has been kinda hanging around. Hope and Jones stopped working together when Peely was saved, but since this image shows them together, maybe they're working together again to do something. A theory going around is maybe Jones is looking in the underworld because he thinks the 7 are dead and maybe he thinks he'll find the 7 there. But if that's not the case, I have no idea why Jones is at the Pandora's box. Maybe Hope is asking him for help this time. But now, for the final part of Season 2. Up until Season 3, there was just a live event. And it was one of the craziest events that we've ever gotten. And it led to this. Something is coming. Something big. The giant statue just came to life. Lightning strikes every hour, the eyes open, and this happens every day until... This is about to get crazy. But that isn't the only thing to focus on. We need to focus on the right side of this statue. And there are 4 other things that need to be focused on before we can watch this full event. 15 or so telescopes are looking south over the horizon. These telescopes are predicting something, and I think I know what it is. We have a few specific areas on the island to pay attention to. 1, the statue. 2, the south side of the island. 3, Pandora's box, but 4 and 5 are probably the most important. Pandora's box opened and revealed the evil of the world and the gods. In the time that they've been here, the gods have tried eliminating all of humankind. In Greek mythology, Pandora's box is opened twice. The second time reveals hope for the evil revealed in the first. But before we can fully understand the hope that is coming, we need to pay attention to something that happened last month. Last month, the roadmap was leaked for 2024, and in this roadmap we see Season 3, and it has sand everywhere. My theory is that Chapter 5 is replicating Chapter 2. Season 1 was Altar versus Ego, and Underground versus Society, and in Season 2 was Midas, and Season 3 could be a flood. First with water, and now with sand. And this adds up. In Season 2, the season ended with a giant flood of water coming. And in this season, there's something similar coming. But how will we even get here, and what is the reason? Let's see if we can figure it out using everything so far. The Oracle says Zeus was just the beginning. Dark clouds will gather. The Wanderer draws near. There is something very creepy coming in this event. This statue has been here the whole season. And little did we know, it would play a bigger role in the end of it. This statue just came to life, and lightning filled its structure. And then it began to move, but how does this all connect? Zeus's patience has just run empty, and he uses his statue to electrocute Pandora's box. And as it keeps striking the box over and over again, it fills up even more until one day it explodes, leading to a giant sandstorm coming to the island. And within the sandstorm lies the Wanderer. And it's up to us in Season 3 to decide if the Wanderer is bad or not. But this wasn't the only thing about Season 3 that we know of. Players have begun using the surveys to guess what skins will be available in the next Battle Pass. Don't forget, we still have one more thing to cover at the end. First, we have Dummy, but new. In this season, he mentioned not having hair while teaching us how to drive in a challenge. But in this image, he clearly has hair. It has to be a teaser. And plus, it fits the Mad Max style theme. That's the first suspected Battle Pass skin, but the last one is actually kind of crazy. Then we have this hyena who fits the desert theme perfectly. And this skin would be so creepy to see running around. And now we have the final skin that we can suspect. But the reason is deeper than you would think. This character might actually be the Wanderer. who looks a lot like Trace from Chapter 4. And Trace actually has a lot of connections with the Wanderer, so maybe that's who this is. In Chapter 4, Trace had a description that said, "Wander no more." Another one said, "A gift from the storm and desert." And guess what? This season has a storm and then a desert for season 3. And there's one more skin that everybody thinks is coming to the game for one secret reason. The reason we suspect he will come is because when you look at the live event audio into a spectrograph, it shows these images. Some people in the community are thinking that these are very similar to this skin. Personally, I don't see it, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Okay, I know I've said final skin like 2 times already, but this one's the final skin that I know of. Because Mark Rain just tweeted the word of the next season, and the next season's keyword is Nitro. My first reaction was like a car for Nitro, but then people went into the surveys and found a skin that has the word Nitro written on it, and it has the apocalyptic theme. What do you guys think of this skin? The Wanderer is probably inside of this sandstorm somewhere, and we can assume tons of POIs that'll come next season. My hope is that season 3 is a completely sand-flooded island with the sand slowly going down, revealing the regular map underneath. If that's not going to happen, then what will happen is it'll just be a brand new desert biome. And at the end of all of this, the statue's lightning will turn red for the final stage. And then I assume the statue will attack the Pandora's box one more time, revealing the sandstorm in some way. But Zeus isn't just attacking Pandora's box. He is charging it up in some way. On the front orb of the box, we can see this. This looks like some sort of level that will be raising over the time period of him striking it down. I assume when it reaches the top, something will happen. Maybe Zeus is charging it up enough to give it enough life to open for the second time. Or maybe that's just the amount of life that it has left before it explodes. So before you watch this live event, this is where you should be looking. Obviously at the statue. Pay attention to what the statue does. Assuming that it just does the same thing it's done before, striking Pandora's box, the second place you need to look is obviously Pandora's box. The third place you need to look is the water surrounding Pandora's box, as I think that it'll spread to be brighter like the ones around it. And the fourth place to be looking is over the south side of the map, where the telescopes are looking. My prediction is that this is where the sandstorm will come from. And don't forget, at the beginning of this season, we had some sort of leak revolving around the idea that all of the water would turn into the water from the underworld. I don't know if this leak got scrapped, or maybe this is a secret part of the event, but keep an eye out for this as well. There are still a few things that we haven't even spoken about this video. We still don't know what Zeus's intentions are. Is he inviting the Wanderer, or is he trying to stop the Wanderer from coming? Is he trying to kill us, or is he trying to save us from the Wanderer? This is the event that happened today. Every motion and movement from the statue and the lightning was the same. The statue put his sword up in the air and struck lightning at the Pandora's box. But the only difference was that 1, the Pandora's box filled up more on that little level we have. And 2, just as I suspected, the water around it spread. But then the final live event happened. Zeus struck Pandora's box, causing it to explode, and something escaped from it. And it skipped across the water super far away and then exploded and made a sandstorm. This sandstorm is coming directly towards us, and there's a flashing light within it that is actually Morse code for Get Wrecked. Season 3's name is called Wrecked. We don't know if Morse code is telling us get wrecked, telling Zeus get wrecked as in a meme, or if it's saying you're going to get wrecked for season 3. Either way, this is exciting, and I'll keep you guys updated all season for the storyline. So subscribe if you enjoyed and use code PBJ.